All right, let me readjust this. First of all, how's everyone doing tonight? Oh, that was weak. See that guy right there? He didn't say nothing. He was just walking. We got to do it again. How's everyone doing tonight? That's awesome. I didn't know that was coming. I'm trying to readjust this because I'm going to do something a little bit unique. My name's Anthony Carpino. We're going to get away from that. As a magician, you've seen me with the Impractical Jokers, and I've opened for the America's Got Talent winner Darcy Lynn, and a lot of other major music and magic acts that have come to Michigan. But as a speaker, if you have children in middle school, in high school, or in college, anywhere around the United States, chances are they've seen my presentation, The Magic of Hope. I wanted to build a magic show that teaches kids how to cope with stressful situations and deal with suicide and mental health. And that was because of something personal that happened to me. Tonight I'm not going to give you that full presentation, but what I am going to do is pull two people up here to help demonstrate something that I do at the very end of the talk. With that being said, I need two volunteers, two people who look like they want to help. But here's the thing, if you're in heels, this might not work very best. So I'm going to pick one girl and one guy. What's your name, Miss? Oh, I guess we're using Miss Michigan. She's just going to take the floor. Give her a round of applause. We're going to use Miss Michigan for this one, but I also need a man. Let's see. How about the guy that everyone's pointing to over there? What's your name, sir? Give him a round of applause. Leave your drink over there. Well, Miss Michigan has a name. What's your name, Miss? Elise? Elise, and what's your name, sir? Matt. Everyone give Elise and Matt a round of applause. All right, Elise and Matt, what you guys are going to do is you're going to wrap me into a straitjacket and 40 feet of chain. Captain 20 here is going to be playing some music. The rest of it I'll explain to you as it's kind of self-explanatory. Give them one last round of applause and hit that music. All the way around the body and sticking to you like a suction cup. When he's done with the back straps, there are two more that we'll explain in just a moment. Matt's doing a great job. The longer that I stay in the jacket, the material will begin to shrink. All right. You got two more? You got one more. You're taking a while back there, but no worries. He's doing a great job. So excited for the 7th annual Cheers for Children. This is such a great event. Do me a favor, sir. Oh, we got one that points right down. I'll grab that one in a second. Would you grab this one for me? Buckle it in as tight as you can. Tight, tight, tight. Yep. If I can't get out of the jacket chain today, I'll even donate $500. You guys want to see me escape? Say yeah! Oh, we gotta be louder than that. You want to see the escape? Say yeah! Get it, man! Why you look so natural back there, Matt?
Detroit. I think we need some energy up here to break these chains. We need some energy up here. Let me see those hands clapping right now. We're doing it for the kids. Let's go, let's go.
Give them one last round of applause! All right, 7th annual Cheers for Children. You want to see the escape? Say yeah! Well, this is how it's going to work. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to count down from 3. I'll yell 3, and the rest of you yell 2, 1, go! And I'll start my last record escape for 45 minutes and 13 seconds. No, I'm just joking. One last time. You want to see the escape? Say yeah! All right, count down with me in 3, 2, 1. My name's Anthony Garpito. I'm 23 years old and from Lake Wray, Michigan. I told you as a magician you might have seen me open for the Impractical Jokers or other major names in the entertainment industry. Oh wait. A presentation that I bring to schools is teaching high schoolers and middle schoolers and college students how to deal with stressful situations, how to deal with suicide and mental health. And the reason that I have to do it is because we don't implement it into the schools. And no, I'm sorry, but having an 8th grade health teacher teach our kids about mental health, a person who isn't certified or trained in mental health, isn't doing enough, especially since the textbook is outdated about 15 to 20 years. When I walk around and do magic, I juggle on stage and I present to my audience, you might not realize that my brain is sick. You might not realize that I have a mental illness. See, just like any other organ in the body, our brains can get sick, and people forget this. Well, I'm sick with depression. When I was in elementary school, I got bullied so bad that I had to move schools. And I took that on myself for the first time with a pair of scissors and self-harmed. I went to a private middle school where I never learned anything about mental health and I never talked about it. And I thought that things were fine. I went to high school where I was a wrestler, I was varsity, I was an honor roll student in AP classes, I had friends, I participated in activities and donated my time, and I was just like a regular kid. Until my junior year of high school. I was wrestling at the Silverdome in a county match. I was up by 7 points in the second round, and I chose the down position. When I went to stand up, my opponent took me straight back and slammed me on my head, damaging my head and tearing both of the rotator cuffs in my shoulders. I found out the next day that my injuries would be so bad that I would never be able to wrestle again. And I found out that the scholarship that I was working so hard for would no longer be attainable because an organization that I dedicated my entire life to, I was no longer of any worth or value to. And I didn't know how to cope with it. My mom didn't have a job at the time. My dad had just got laid off because when I was in high school, that's what was happening to our parents, or to my parents. And I didn't have health care. I was in pain, I was pissed, and everything around me that I worked so hard for just had seemed to fall apart. I didn't want to talk about it because when I was 16 years old, I thought that I was a man, and I thought that being a man was holding everything inside and acting as tough as I could. But I was wrong. Some people cope positively, and some people cope negatively. Some people abuse drugs, some people abuse alcohol. Some people, like me, again, I'm turning to self-harm. Every single morning when I woke up, I had to cut myself to get through the day. But I didn't do it for attention. Nobody knew for 6 or 7 months of my life that I was self-harming. Every single morning, sneaking off in school to do it, doing it before bed. What I didn't realize is that it was synthetically helping me feel better. It was helping me create dopamine and helping me create serotonin to fight off all this cortisol in my blood, fighting off all this stress and to push away all the pain that I felt. It gave me a release and it gave me a sense of control. But the issue with a negative coping mechanism is that eventually it stops working. Eventually I no longer felt that pain, and I no longer felt that rush. And that's when I attempted suicide. Not once, not twice, but on 3 separate occasions. And I would walk through the front door of my house and see my parents who knew nothing about it. I would sit in school with my classmates and my best friends who knew nothing about it. And nobody ever knew anything about it because they never asked. And they never asked because why would they? A lot of people get confused as to why I get wrapped into a straitjacket and chained to tell you this. Well, I can honestly tell you that this is how I felt in high school. I felt claustrophobic, I felt trapped, and I felt that there was no way out. The only way that I saw an end to was by suicide, but it didn't have to be that way. One day I forgot to come to school with sleeves on, and a friend went to a counselor, and I started to get the help that I deserved. I was an inpatient and an outpatient at Oakland Family Services, and I began to rehabilitate. I was taught how to cycle positivity back into my life and how to take things one step at a time. Most people, when they get wrapped into a straitjacket and chain, wouldn't be able to get out, mainly because they wouldn't be taking it one step at a time. They would try to tackle the whole thing at once. But the same skills that I learned in therapy, I apply every single day. And I can tell you that magic is the ultimate reminder that we all have the tools around us to accomplish what we think is impossible, which is why it's the oldest art form. The first step that I ever take to accomplish something is just taking a deep breath. It's what I remind everyone to do every single day. If you want to overcome something, you have to breathe to be alive. If everyone will help me, just take a deep breath in and let it out. Sometimes you have to breathe to sort out the small stuff. The chains only encompass me because I allowed them to. Most of the problems that you think you carry, you only carry because you allow them to weigh you down. Take a deep breath and shrug it off so you can work on the bigger picture, which is easier said than done, which makes you go in the dark and makes you look back at life. But you gotta keep looking forward and let the little things slide by. Because when things get most painful,
Oh, wow.
I'm coming for you. That's how you know you're almost out. So it's easy for me, I'm a magician, and I've never fooled a person in my whole life. If you see me today, I've probably made a deck of cards vanish, I'll write in your hands, swing your watch, or done an array of weird things. But the one thing I want to remind everyone is the meaning of magic, which is abracadabra. Abracadabra means what I speak is what I create, and every single day the words that you speak create something. They create an image in somebody's head of their self-worth, somebody else's self-worth, of your own self-worth. And the words that you carry can motivate people and uplift them. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a reminder that you need to tell your kids as young as elementary school. The words that you speak can drive people anxiety worse. They can worsen people's depression. And yes, I am telling you right now that the words that you speak are so powerful that they can cause a person to take their own life. And that's heavy. The true thing that we have in this world are the words that we speak and each other. And to follow up from earlier, it doesn't matter what kind of car you drive. You could drive the fastest car, but if you have no one to share it with, the experience is for nothing. And you could live in the most beautiful and biggest house here and have the nicest clothes, but if you have no one to sleep in that house with, it hosts the same loneliness. The only wealth that we have is love, and it's each other. And by treating each other kindly and by inviting each other into our homes and accepting our differences and working together to do something for the better of the community, that is true wealth. And we can't lose that. Because if we don't have each other, we truly have nothing.